Full disclosure, this wasn't supposed to be the video for this month, and due to reasons we're about to discuss, there's no animations here either. I was going to do a Terraria Calamity playthrough miniseries, but my computer decided that living was overrated and required half a week of straight troubleshooting. So far, it's working fine again, but because of the incident, I lost the world it took place in, and so the video had to be scrapped, and I am now deep into May with only one video. Not to mention that I had to pay an exorbitant amount of money just to get my car to a legally drivable state, and I'm now pretty much living like my persona, but I digress. Integrated Minecraft is a mod pack I've received a lot of requests to review. Like, it's easily by far one of the more consistent requests that aren't just things I reviewed before or slop mod packs. Integrated MC is an official mod pack for the Integrated Structures mod that aims to take all the mods it uses and makes them feel like part of a cohesive experience. In other words, going the way of quality over quantity and doing the homework required to do that. Now, as someone who can now say, as a mod pack dev, I'm familiar with the workload required to make something like this happen, so needless to say, this tagline caught my interest. So how did it do? Is it good? Is it bad? Did this mod pack satisfy me during the short period I had with it? Well, stay tuned and find out. Also, hit the like and sub button or some shit. I don't know. You do you. I'm not your mom. If we hit 50,000 subs, I'll play Greg Tech New Horizons to completion. Also, given the earlier statement of me being basically broke due to life's overwhelming lemon offering in the span of 1 week, if y'all could also consider hitting the membership button this time around, I'd greatly appreciate the assistance. You do get perks like emotes and a role in my Discord for our members-only chat and polls if you're into that sort of deal, and you can back out at any time. It's $5, and you might not believe it, but $5 makes a large difference. Okay, I'm done now. Let's start integrating the good bits. Kicking things off, I want to talk about the quest book of all things, if you can even call it that. The quest book is being treated more as a handbook, which is nice to see given that the mod pack is really just trying to make mods feel like a proper part of Minecraft's experience. It shoots straight to the point, but in the context of a handbook, I do think it's right to just tell the player what something does, while leaving just enough for them to wonder for themselves. And not to talk about my mod pack a whole lot in this video, but I did the same system in my own mod pack for that reason. It's also organized by category, so you can pretty easily navigate to the part of the guidebook detailing what you need. The guidebook also has a store, quote unquote, where you trade resources for maps and other doodads to help locate major content pieces, which honestly is a workaround solution to making adventuring feel a little more consistent. I think this method is charming, albeit a little overwhelming at first sight. Not to mention the atmospheric mods chosen here are pretty cool in their own right, and you all know I'm a sucker for sweet, sweet atmosphere. Look how pretty this shit is. And as the title of the mod pack suggests, it is true that almost every mod is integrated into Minecraft pretty well. Most of what the mods added do either play a role in a basic Minecraft progression, or they play a role in another mod. For example, there's the Waystones mod for fast teleportation, but you can't create a Waystone without Create, as it requires mechanical crafting. Salt blocks from Galosphere can be ground up into salt with a Create grinder. And actually, to cut to the chase, a lot of the mods work with Create in general here. And yes, I'm not exactly thrilled that I opened what is essentially a Create-centered pack for what I presume to be the early game, but I have to give credit where it's due. The integration is well done, and exploring all the ways to get something was just as fun. Plus, it doesn't require a lot of Create knowledge, just enough to get by. From what I can tell, you just need mechanical crafting, a mixing station, a mechanical press, and a grinder. That's it. With those alone, you can access most of the mod pack's content. Moving on, I also appreciate that it didn't go hog wild with the additions. My guess is because integrating all that would be a hard task to do, but either way, it's pretty common for mod packs like this to add far more than it actually needs. That's not to say every addition here's a winner, but most of it is pretty nice. There's also a handful of mods in here that I haven't seen before. Like, I fell in love with a mod that has dedicated tool slots that make your tools pop out if you attempt to mine a block of the corresponding type. It doesn't work as well with weapons, especially thanks to better combat, but ignoring that, the mod's lovely. I also have to commend the integrated mods in general, as it's not every day you see mod packs rocking its own mods to bolster itself. Obviously, a large amount of this pack is probably handled with Cube.js and data packs, but that doesn't change how impressive this feat is. I also really liked the wood options that's offered in this mod pack, among other decorative blocks. Even though I did my usual review cottage building that I think y'all are familiar with, having the extra wood types really helped make the build feel a little less samey, and also love vertical slabs. That's all I have to say about that. Storage options were abundant, but not in an overwhelming way, actually in a pretty good way. As you can see, I got a little drawer happy, and I did get some iron chests, but they also have sacks and backpacks that give a penalty if you're carrying too many, which is a nice way to balance them without invalidating shulkers. Also, the structures I found in the world in Nether were just gorgeous. I know outside mods are likely responsible for a lot of them, but knowing that custom ones were made by the mod packs team is also a great way to help your pack stand out. I also commend you for not making structures overly abundant. It's super easy for mod packs like this to utterly just jam your world with structures, so good on y'all for having restraint, especially when you made your own. Now, so far, this mod pack sounds like a treat, and a real enjoyable one at that, and you're right, this mod pack is incredibly well thought out and fun, and part of me wishes I had more time with it. It's an honest shame I have to hurry due to technical issues delaying my work for way too long. However, this mod pack also suffers greatly from a number of major issues that hampers my ability to enjoy it, so let's talk. Like I said, I think this mod pack has amazing potential and it's really enjoyable. When it works. To explain what I mean, we need to discuss the 3 major problems currently holding this mod pack in what I consider an unplayable state. Galosphere, Alex's mobs, and a third issue that is mod pack specific. Galosphere is a mod that adds a bunch of new caves and underground structures to spice up the caving experience, and knowing me, you'd think this mod would be an absolute pipe dream for a caveman, right? I sure thought so. That wasn't until I experienced it and saw that it made the single worst decision you can make for a fucking caving mod. So Galosphere adds bosses, and I have no issue with that. I do think there is a place in Minecraft for more bosses, but these bosses give a debuff that completely halts all mining and building, despite being a boss that's fucking underground. Even worse, this debuff lasts a minute and a half, even if you're just passing by, so it can quite literally shut down mine shafts given the right location and circumstances, which is exactly what happened to me. This detail alone has solidified this mod as being my least favorite of all time. Congrats, Create, you go back to being tolerated. Galosphere took your title. Now, it could be argued that this debuff gives an air of curiosity to go find it, but riddle me this, Batman. How do we find it? It's underground, surrounded by stone, and we haven't even seen a brick of the structure. How would we find it if we can't fucking mine anything? But the water temple does that. You wanna know the huge difference between these two? The water temple is on the ocean floor and always accessible from some point of entry. This underground salt structure is not. It would have made far more sense to make the dungeon out of unbreakable versions of the block you want to build with than this ill-conceived idea, and the fact that this problem even exists to begin with is a sign that the mod was never playtested enough. And, like, obviously this isn't the mod pack's fault because the mod pack didn't make this system, but at the same time I have to hold the mod pack responsible because it's even here in the first place. This makes the mod unplayable. Congrats to Galosphere for being the one mod who earned the most hated mod title without me ever setting foot in its content. Next up on the pummeling list, Alex's mobs. But bottom dweller, I hear you already typing, this mod is literally mostly atmospheric mobs. It doesn't really do much. How can you possibly have a problem? And to that I say that's a fair question. I'm a sucker for atmosphere, and an even larger sucker for new passive creatures to make the world feel lively. However, the problem with this mod isn't its concept, but rather something a lot of modpacks devs and mod devs don't even consider when they add it. Mob spawning logic. Without getting super into the programmer nerd shit and making it easy to understand for those with less programming knowledge, Minecraft runs a command on a per biome basis that basically asks what mob am I going to spawn, and it will then pick randomly from the selection allowed for that biome, gets the quantity allowed, and spawns it there. That's why mobs spawn in clumps and why mobs spawn again in an area you've already cleared. This logic controls every mob that spawns in the game, and normally this system is perfectly fine. However, if we were to say, oh, I don't know, add 40 new mobs for it to choose from in any given biome, the likelihood of it picking a specific mob is now less frequent. And while yes, mobs have weighting, 9 times out of 10, the modded mobs have equivalent weighting to the others, so now mod packs have to go in and manually change it. The more choices you give a computer to pull from on an even weighting level, the less likely the one you need gets pulled. And in my instance, I could not find a fucking cow or any vanilla farm animal besides pigs because the mob spawner kept choosing modded shit. I tried for multiple Minecraft days and didn't find a single one. So I cheated them in. This is the reason I don't like Alex's mobs. It's not because of what it adds, it's because of how fucking much it adds in one mod without any deliberation. I'd rather these be separate mods, or at least have us, be given the option to download the mobs individually. Because by forcing the game to have all of them, it's now a requirement for a mod pack dev to go in and weight all of it correctly or let players suffer with not finding the mob they need, which based on first glance of what I went through, I think the mod pack opted for the latter, and I can't blame them. I know the workload required to do that. That's a lot of Cube.js, in control, and data pack nonsense required, though that would then bring up my criticism towards the pack regarding these two mods. Unless you can find a way to fix the problems these mods cause, I'd say your mod pack would be better off if you just yeeted these two. They're not exactly bringing anything I deem to be crucial to the experience, and if anything, actually worsen the experience for one reason or another. If you want to add specific mobs from Alex's mobs instead of the whole catalog, that's fine. And if you can get rid of the debuff Galosphere does somehow, that would make it playable too. But currently these two mods double teamed my enjoyment out of existence, and personally, I'm the type of guy that likes to be taken to dinner first. My third issue, however, is far more troubling than those two combined. While trying to locate a new village as I wanted to round off the crops I didn't have, I experienced a huge spike in world gen lag, like to a point I was hard stopped pretty frequently, and sometimes I wouldn't even be able to open my inventory. The game itself wasn't lagging, but I think there were some serious TPS hangups, so I investigated the logs and...
What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh my goodness! Squidward!
Yeah, the log was chock full of warnings calling for a pool that appears to be a blank Minecraft tag call, as well as error tags for debug text, a notification for memory leaks, and an even more humorous warning I got about the game hanging up for a worrying amount of ticks. Now, listen, I know that sometimes finding errors is hard. I myself am still trying to find out why my mod pack is having error logs involving a call for chipped blocks when I don't have chipped in the mod pack, nor did I ever add it. But this warning for a non-existent pool was going the entire time, which is likely why there's a problem. I thought maybe regions unexplored was responsible for it, but now that I'm looking at this log, I ain't too sure. Something was goofed inside a script somewhere, and it makes exploring really obnoxious and hard to work with. Which sucks, because exploring is a major part of this mod pack. This issue alone ruined my enjoyment of the mod pack. Ignoring the goofy shit with Galosphere and ignoring the cow caper problem and Alex's mobs, this one was game ruining. Having to hold up for the mod pack to stop absolutely shitting its britches was not how I wanted to spend my time, and it ruins the mod pack's flow. And the fact this has been going on for, at the bare minimum, an entire month, I can only imagine what people on less powerful computers had to go through. As for minor issues, I'm gonna rattle them off real quick. There's a bug where debuffs are stacking their UI twice. Better Combat is incompatible with the tool slots mod, as anytime you attack with a weapon from that slot, it'd make a swing sound and disappear immediately without ever playing an animation or even staying out long enough to indicate it was used. The custom UI for the main menu and some other segments feel really out of place on an artistic standpoint. It feels too smooth and flash animation-like compared to the otherwise pixelated and chunky style the rest of the game has. Whatever cloud mod you're using, by the way, it doesn't look good and removes all the character from the sky. And speaking of sky, the skyboxes are pretty, but far too detailed to fit with Minecraft's otherwise simplistic charm. Gorgeous skyboxes, and I did compliment them, but nonetheless off-putting and immediately took me out of my flow state when I saw it. I mean, like, the whole objective is to make mods feel integrated with the experience, and while technically it's integrated, it just doesn't feel like it belongs in the game. The music for the main menu also doesn't even come close to feeling like it fits for Minecraft, and if I didn't know any better, I'd swear I accidentally opened up a Roblox Tycoon game. I'm sorry to whatever artist made these, but they don't fit the game, dog, I'm sorry. Born in Chaos triggered my arachnophobia, so that's a mod I'm adding to the not going in my mod pack list, and there were a number of times where a chunk would load and then immediately generate hundreds of drops because of flowing water or because gravel fell off and broke a bunch of kelp. In turn, causing spikes and lag, though to be fair, that's probably not in the mod pack dev's control at this point. And I think that's it. I think that's all my major and minor issues with the mod pack. At least for what I've experienced. Y'all can leave your comments down below about, how this pack went for you. But with my stuff being done, let's wrap this up with the final thoughts. This mod pack score is a 6 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a pretty damn good mod pack, and I can see a lot of the effort made. It handles its objectives relatively well, and when the game was running fine, I was thoroughly enjoying my time. But that's the thing. When it was running well. Unfortunately, due to its horrid TPS issues causing WorldGen to stutter and causing UI control problems, it makes a large chunk of this mod pack pretty much unplayable. If you never go much further than the chunks you spawn around, then it's fine, but the moment you even think about adventuring beyond that, you're met with just the most abysmal optimization I think I've seen that isn't just causing outright lag. Again, I think this is likely due to the weird error feedback I was getting on top of other things. As always though, it's free, and you can always try it out yourself, and it probably even got updated by the time you're watching this. You might like it, or not experience the same issues I did at all. I've been wrong before, I'll likely be wrong again. Thanks again to all you members who are helping to keep the lights on, especially during this really trying month of mine. I really appreciate the help that you guys give. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below, and until next time, this has been the Bomb Dweller. I was shot down in May, but I'll be back on top in June.